Alan, why don't you maybe talk about the correlation in buildings of treating symptoms and not causes? You know, facility managers always putting fires out versus being proactive. I think, guys, what we're talking about here is being proactive, both with human health and with building health.
Yes, an example, we had a recent project where a university called us out to identify um, mold in a dormitory facility, and that the mold in a dorm or any building is a symptom of the problem and not the cause. So we went out, our building science team went out, identified why the mold is there. Mold just doesn't populate, even though it's ubiquitous. It doesn't populate and just exist and grow in abundance. It has to have the nutrients, humidity, moisture, etc. So in this building, we did see the mold. It was visible on surfaces, on books, on counters, desks, walls. And what we found was the building was super negatively pressurized. You could say the building sucked in more ways than one. When you have a negative pressurized building, what you're doing is you're allowing all the outside effluents, which we know by studying 19,000 buildings, that the outdoor air is going to be 10 times, 100 times worse than indoor air. So we're allowing unfiltered, unconditioned air into the building, number one. Number two is the building ventilation system is super impacted microbially. It had at least 50% of the face of the coil was impacted to the point where no air would cross. Then the HVAC system, ductwork plenums, had a super amount of microbial contamination as a result of the lack of, in this case, deferred maintenance. Medically, deferred maintenance could be that of someone not taking good care of their health and their well-being. In the case of a building, it's the deferred maintenance of a building. If they let the building fall apart, it's going to have adverse effects in multiple ways. So our suggestion was to fix the ventilation system. Let's fix the HVAC system to the point of it being environmentally clean, as well as the ventilation pressurization deficiency. So we ended up, we made the suggestions, but they had just got, they ordered 1,000 air purifiers just months before, and they just came in. So they said, well, yeah, that makes sense. We want to do that, but we're going to clean the mold off and then just put in these air purifiers in the building, in the dormitories, and we hope that'll solve the problem. And we said, well, frankly, it's not going to solve it, but you can try that. That's what you want to do. I get a call about a month later, a frantic call from the same university saying, when, the solution that you proposed, when can you get out here and fix it? And so I said, well, just out of curiosity, why is it an emergency today? He said, well, we have 4 students have come down with fungal infections that are hospitalized, and we feel it's due to the building. So, that's not a good, if one was a father or mother of these students, you'd be very concerned with the decision-making process and the risk that they're allowing in the building. So long story short, we end up fixing the ventilation problem, we fixed the pressurization problem, and that's been months and months ago, and it's not reoccurred, and that solved the problem. So classic example of treating a symptom and not a cause, and but the sad part about it is we see this in abundance across America, across the globe. Dr. Avadia's 90% building or individuals not being metabolically healthy, I would have to say, based on our experience, it's probably close to that. 70 to 80% of buildings have problems, and buildings don't get sick. People do, but buildings will make people sick. due to the conditions.